The representative from Connecticut, Ms. Hayes, is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, and thank you to our witnesses for being here today. I want to first frame my comments with the information that I was a public school teacher before I came to Congress. 16 years I taught as a high school history teacher. And I just want to provide some context for much of what you're hearing. This hearing is about school choice, yet they're trying to position it as vouchers and public charter schools are the same thing. They are not. Vouchers are very different, and that is not what we're talking about. At the top of the hearing, the chairman talked about 81 private school programs that serve 1 million students, yet the school that he highlighted as being successful, Success Academy, is in fact a public charter school.
Well, the gentlewoman
No, I will not. Many public schools offer school choice to parents, and that is not what we are talking about here today. I heard quotes from an economist from the 1950s, 70 years ago. So much has happened in public education. I would encourage you to engage in that conversation. And yet again, we have witnesses at the table right off the White House guest list. And your testimony where you said, Mr. Blanks, that you failed an entry test 2 times before they finally decided to allow you to access to this school just reiterates the fact that these schools are not for everybody. It is a system of winners and losers. And to the idea about segregation in schools, the Department of Education actually protects civil rights. If we're talking about the most important reform Congress can make, it is increasing the funding for IDEA from 16% to the 40% that Congress promised that it would do. Schools are funded locally, so local property taxes decide many of the decisions that we're talking about here today. I do have a few questions, and I want to move quickly because I have lots of questions. But Ms. Clark, just yes or no. You said that you had to do an independent educational assessment for your children in order to understand their academic needs. Did your family pay for that out of pocket?
No, the district did. It's part of the law.
Thank you. You talked about you homeschooled your 3 children. Was your family able to do that because you had stable income?
No, my husband was in law school at the time. We were on loans.
Okay. $7,500 was given to your family to cover your children's dyslexia educational supports. Was that the total cost of those supports?
It was $7,500 per student, and
Right.
yes, it was the full cost of those supports, half of the public school funding.
So $7,500 in total for dyslexia funding, educational funding for the entire year for 1 student.
Yes, that's correct.
I would disagree with that because, and I can tell you why. Public schools offer many of the wraparound supports and services, so it's not just what happens in the classroom. It is the occupational supports, the technical supports, the social workers, all of those things. I know, and anyone who's ever looked at a public school budget knows that those services are not provided for $7,500. Ms. Levin, can you explain, just briefly, go into greater detail, why private schools are not mandated to follow the same reporting requirements as most public schools?
Yes, thank you for the question, and I come from a family of educators, so I thank you for that as well. It's because of a deliberate choice in the statutes. Legislators choose not to put accountability measures in these bills, and you have to ask yourself why.
And when a student is not accepted to these schools, because I've yet to find one charter school, one of these private voucher programs that supports all of the special education needs of these students, and part of IDEA says that students need to be educated alongside their non-disabled peers. When those children don't have success in those schools and go back to the public school system, can you explain a little bit about what happens in that case with their funding?
So often the student returns to a public school, but the money has already gone to the private school. So the public school now has less money, and it has a higher concentration of higher needs students to serve with those fewer resources.
Can the public school refuse to accept those students now that the funding source is gone?
They cannot.
They cannot. That's what I thought. I mean, everybody knows that. But again, I would caution people, yes, we want parents involved. Education is a partnership between parents, families, their teachers, everyone. But this idea of private voucher programs is absolutely a sham. It's moving taxpayer monies to a profit source for the billionaire class. That is not what public education is supposed to do. I yield back.